The autumn wind of 1887 howled through Red Canyon, Texas. Inside Whitmore's bank, 19-year-old Mary Elizabeth Harper sat trembling, her black mourning dress threadbare from 3 months since her parents' wagon accident. Silas Whitmore paced behind, his desk like a predator. His beady eyes gleamed as he shuffled fabricated documents. "Miss Harper," he began with false sympathy, "your parents left substantial debts. $800, a fortune you could never repay with honest work." Mary's blue eyes filled with terror. "But Papa always paid his debts. Whitmore's thin lips curved cruelly. "However, I'm not without compassion. Mr. Callahan at the Golden Nugget needs entertainment for his patrons." Young pretty entertainment. Mary's blood turned to ice. She knew what happened to girls who worked upstairs at the saloon. "I can't," she whispered. "Please, there must be another way." "My dear child, you cannot earn enough through honest labor. The debt comes due tomorrow. If you cannot pay, prison awaits no place for a delicate flower like yourself." Meanwhile, 20 miles away, Jacob Morrison knelt beside his bed, holding his father's Bible. At 42, the rancher carried deep sorrow. 2 years since fever took his wife Sarah and twin daughters. His weathered hands turned to Isaiah. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." Miguel Rodriguez burst in with urgent news. "Patron, there's trouble in town. Whitmore claims young Mary Harper owes $800 and wants to sell her to Callahan's saloon. But I knew her father, Robert. Harper was honest, always careful with debts." Jacob's coffee mug shattered on the floor. The thought of innocent corruption made his blood run cold. That poor child. Does she have no one? She's completely alone. No family, no money, no way to fight Whitmore. Jacob stared out at gathering storm clouds. He thought of Sarah, who never could stand by and watch injustice. $800, he mused. He had more than enough gold saved. Sometimes, Miguel, God puts us in position to be his hands in this world. Jacob removed his Colt, checking it was loaded. "I won't stand by and watch evil triumph when I have power to stop it." He retrieved a leather pouch heavy with gold coins. Sometimes the only way to fight the devil is to speak his language. The Golden Nugget Saloon pulsed with energy piano music, clinking glasses, rough laughter. Whitmore sat in the corner with Sean Callahan, counting bills between them. $800, Callahan said greedily. "She must be special to command." "Such a price." "Young, innocent, never been touched," Whitmore assured him. "Your customers will pay handsomely for the privilege of being first." They didn't notice 2 rain-soaked figures enter. Jacob Morrison stepped inside, followed by Miguel. Both moved with quiet confidence that made hardened men shift uncomfortably. Jacob's gaze settled on Whitmore and Callahan. Something in their posture told him these were his targets. As he approached, the piano fell silent and the saloon grew quiet. "I'm here about Mary Elizabeth Harper," Jacob said clearly. "I understand you gentlemen have been discussing her future without consent." Whitmore's face went pale, recognizing the tragic rancher. "This is none of your concern, Morrison. The girl owes legitimate debt and agreed to work it off." Jacob withdrew his leather pouch, letting it fall onto the table with a solid thunk that rang through the silent saloon. "Then I'm here to pay her. Debt in full. Consider this matter settled." "You can't do this. The girl already agreed." "Show me the documents proving Robert Harper owed $800, Jacob said dangerously. "Show me the promissory notes, loan agreements, payment records." Whitmore's deception was exposed. "The paperwork is back at the bank," he said weakly. Jacob smiled coldly. "I've made inquiries. Samuel Peterson at the Mercantile, Martha Williams. At Dry Goods, Doc Henderson about medical bills. Total legitimate debt comes to less than $50, all of which I'm prepared to pay." Whitmore made one desperate attempt. "The girl is damaged goods. Already her reputation ruined by association with this business. Jacob's fist connected with Whitmore's jaw, sending the banker sprawling. "That's for slandering an innocent young woman." "Take your money and get out," Whitmore snarled, blood trickling from his lip. "But this isn't over." "Neither do I," Jacob replied. "If I hear of you attempting this again with Miss Harper or any other innocent woman, you'll discover I have resources. You can't imagine." At Mrs. Patterson's boarding house, Mary sat clutching her mother's silver cross when the knock came. "There are gentlemen here to see you," Mrs. Patterson called. "Jacob Morrison, the rancher. He seems like a good man with kind eyes." In the parlor, Mary met Jacob, tall, broad-shouldered, with weathered complexion and silver-streaked dark hair. His brown eyes held depths of sorrow but also strength that made her feel less alone. "Miss Harper," Jacob said respectfully, "there is no debt. Whitmore fabricated the entire situation. Your father was honest and paid his obligations faithfully." Mary swayed, overwhelmed. Mrs. Patterson guided her to a chair as the truth hit her. There was no debt. Everything Whitmore threatened was lies. "But why?" she asked, voice growing stronger as anger replaced fear. "Because you are young, beautiful, and alone," Miguel answered gently. "Men like Whitmore see such things as opportunities to exploit." "Even though I've exposed their deception," Jacob continued, "men like Whitmore don't give up. You're still in danger in town. I have a proposition. Come work at my ranch as housekeeper. Honest work, honest wages, complete safety 20 miles from Whitmore's reach." Before Mary could respond, glass shattered upstairs followed by screams. 3 masked men burst through the front door, guns drawn. "Found our little dove," the leader said through his bandana. "Callahan sends regards." Jacob appeared behind them, Colt leveled at the leader's head. "You're trespassing and threatening innocent women. Leave immediately while you still can." "There are 3 of us," the leader said as cold steel pressed his skull. "Yes, but only one walks out if you don't drop weapons right now," Jacob replied with winter-cold smile. "The weapons," clattered down. "Walk out that door and tell Callahan and Whitmore that Mary Elizabeth Harper is under my protection. Any further attempts will be met with extreme prejudice." After they left, Jacob turned to the women. "Your boarding house isn't safe. They'll return with reinforcements." "Come with us," Jacob said without hesitation. "Tonight, tomorrow, as long as needed." Mary stepped forward, fear transformed to determination. "I accept your offer. Both of us do." 3 months had passed since that stormy night. Mary threw herself into her role with determination that impressed even Miguel. She rose before dawn preparing breakfast, spent days cleaning rooms closed since Sarah's death, fell into bed exhausted. But satisfied with honest work, the large stone house hummed with purposeful activity as Mary and Mrs. Patterson restored its warmth. This morning, Mary kneaded bread while humming hymns, sunlight streaming through windows overlooking the vegetable garden where Mrs. Patterson worked among autumn vegetables. "Something smells wonderful," Jacob's voice came from the doorway. Over 3 weeks, Mary had grown accustomed to his quiet presence, the way he moved carefully through the house. "Fresh bread and apple butter," Mary replied, wiping flour-dusted hands on her apron. The routine had become natural. Coffee ready when he came from morning chores, updates on daily activities while she prepared breakfast. "Miguel and the boys are bringing cattle down from North Pasture today," he said, accepting coffee. 30 head to brand before winter. Dusty, noisy work. Mary nodded, mentally adjusting her schedule for extra men needing feeding. "I'll make sure there's plenty of food." "How many hands?" 8. Including Miguel and myself. Jacob paused, studying her face with familiar expression, part concern, part admiration. "Mary, you don't have to cook for all of them. That's far more work than originally discussed." Mary smiled, and Jacob was struck by how relaxed she appeared compared to the terrified woman he'd rescued. Good food, honest work, and peaceful surroundings had restored color to her cheeks and light to her Eyes, Jacob, I don't mind the work. After months of feeling useless and burdensome, it's wonderful to feel needed again. She returned to bread making, movements efficient and graceful. Approaching riders drew their attention. A group approached with one of the masked men from the boarding house leading 4 others with hard expressions. "They've come for me, Mary," whispered, newfound confidence crumbling. Jacob's jaw tightened. "No, they haven't. They've come to try intimidation, but they're not taking you anywhere. I promise." He removed a Winchester rifle, checking it was loaded. "Go upstairs to the front bedroom. Stay away from windows. If shooting starts, get on the floor until I come for you." Mrs. Patterson entered carrying a shotgun. "I've dealt with men like this before, Mary. They're bullies who prey on fear. The trick is not to show them any." Jacob stepped onto the front porch. "Morning, gentlemen. Something I can help you with?" The leader urged his horse forward. "Morrison, we hear you got something belonging to our employer. We're here to collect it." "The only thing I've got belonging to anyone else is a mortgage from Austin Bank," Jacob replied calmly. "You know what we're here for. The girl, she's got debts to pay, and Callahan's getting impatient." Jacob's grip tightened on his rifle. "There is no debt, and Miss Harper is under my protection. Turn around and ride back to whatever hole you crawled out of." A scarred rider spat into dust. "You can't watch her every minute. Sooner or later she'll be alone, and we'll be waiting." Jacob stepped down from the porch. "Let me make something clear. Miss Harper is not merchandise. She's a free woman under Texas law and my personal guarantee. If any harm comes to her, I will hunt you down personally. Big talk from one man against 5 of us." Jacob smiled without warmth. "Long enough." Hoofbeats approached from the north. Pasture. Miguel appeared leading 8 armed cowboys, spreading in a loose line behind Jacob. The threatening riders found themselves outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. "Miguel," Jacob said without taking his eyes off the visitors, "escort these gentlemen off my property. If they're not beyond the gate in 5 minutes, consider them trespassers." The confrontation ended with 5 riders turning horses and leaving at dignity-preserving pace. Jacob watched until they disappeared before turning to Mary standing in the doorway. "It's over. They're gone." Mary nodded, but fear still lingered. "For now, but they'll be back, won't they?" "Probably." "But Mary, what happened here today, the way my men rallied without question, that's not just about me. It's about you too. In 3 weeks, you've become part of this community. These men respect you and will fight to protect you." Mrs. Patterson emerged, still carrying her shotgun. "That's right, dear. You're not alone anymore. You have a family here." Winter settled over Morrison Ranch like gentle benediction. Snow fell softly as Mary put finishing touches on Christmas dinner, her movements graceful in the domain she'd made her own over 3 months. The kitchen was warm with aromas of roasting turkey, fresh bread, and apple pies that had become her specialty. Mrs. Patterson set the dining room table with Sarah Morrison's good china. Jacob's decision, saying beautiful things should be used rather than gathering dust. Jacob entered carrying firewood, cheeks reddened from cold, but eyes bright with genuine happiness. The change over past weeks had been remarkable, as if having people to care for awakened something grief had nearly extinguished. "How many are we expecting?" he asked, setting wood beside the stove. 14, including Miguel's family, Mary replied. "It'll be tight but cozy." Jacob smiled at her obvious pleasure in planning the gathering. Over months, he'd watched her transform from frightened woman into someone confident and capable, someone bringing light into every room. "Jacob," Mary said, turning with expression carrying deeper meaning, "there's something I wanted to discuss about the future." Before he could respond, sleigh bells interrupted. Miguel arrived with his family, children's excited voices carrying through crisp air. Hours passed in whirlwind activity as the house filled with guests. Miguel's children brought energy the home had been missing. Their laughter echoed through rooms as they played under Mrs. Patterson's watchful eye, gathered around the extended dining table. Jacob looked around at assembled faces with wonder. 6 months ago, he'd been a broken man living alone with grief. Now his table was surrounded by chosen family: Mary, Mrs. Patterson, Miguel and Elena, their children, and loyal ranch hands. "Friends," Jacob said, rising with cider glass, the four. "We share this wonderful meal Mary prepared. I'd like to say a few words." The table grew quiet. Mary's heart beat faster, sensing something significant. 6 months ago, I was a man who'd lost faith in God, humanity, the possibility that life could be good again. I was existing, not truly living. His voice carried quiet authority. Then, on a stormy October night, God placed someone in my path who needed help. I thought I was rescuing her, but she rescued me. Jacob's gaze found Mary's across the table. "Mary Elizabeth Harper, you brought light back into this house and hope back into my heart. You've shown me that love doesn't die with those we lose it. Grows to encompass new people, new possibilities, new ways of serving God's purpose." He withdrew a small velvet box, causing gasps around the table. Moving to Mary's chair, he dropped to one knee, eyes never leaving her face. "Mary, I've prayed about this every night for the past month. I believe God brought us together, not just for protection, but for something deeper." He opened the box, revealing Sarah's engagement ring, simple gold band with modest but beautiful diamond catching candlelight. "Will you marry me? Will you help me build a new life on the foundation of the old, honoring the past while embracing the future?" Complete silence, except for crackling fire and snow whispering against windows. Mary stared at the ring, then Jacob's earnest face, feeling the moment's weight settling like a blessing. "Jacob, I need you to know I don't expect you to love me the way you loved Sarah," she said quietly. "I know that was special, and I'd never want to replace that memory." Jacob took her hand gently. "Mary, what I felt for Sarah was young man's love who didn't understand how precious happiness could be. What I feel for you is different, deeper, more grateful, more aware of what a gift it is to find someone who makes life worth living again. I'm not trying to recreate the past. I'm trying to build a future." Mary looked around at faces of people who'd become family, Mrs. Patterson beaming, Miguel and Elena nodding encouragement, children watching wide-eyed at this real-life fairy tale. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes, Jacob Morrison, I will marry you." The room erupted in cheers as Jacob slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her gently. It was chaste but carried promises of deeper intimacy, love built on mutual respect and shared faith. In quiet moment, still kneeling together. Noise of friends' joy creating privacy around them. "Are you sure about this?" Mary asked, searching his eyes for doubt. Jacob smiled, happiness transforming his features. "I've never been more certain. These past months, watching you turn this house back into a home, seeing you care for everyone with such grace, you've shown me what it means to live again instead of just surviving. And you've shown me what it means to be protected and cherished without being controlled," Mary replied. "You've treated me as equal partner from the beginning." As evening progressed and guests departed, Mary and Jacob found themselves alone on the front porch, wrapped in heavy coats watching snow fall in moonlight. The ring caught silvery light, reminding her this wasn't a dream. "Jacob," she said, leaning against his warmth, "earlier I wanted to discuss the future. I was thinking about whether I should stay permanently or move on, but I never imagined that I might ask you to stay forever," he finished gently. "Mary, somewhere along the way, you stopped being my housekeeper and became the woman I couldn't imagine living without." Mary turned in his arms to face him directly. "And I was afraid that wanting more made me ungrateful. But Jacob, what I feel for you isn't gratitude anymore. It's love, real, deep, lasting love. He kissed her again with more passion and promise, and Mary's heart soared knowing her future was bright with possibilities she'd never dared dream as. They stood in falling snow, planning their wedding and life together. Neither noticed the lone rider watching from the hill. Silas Whitmore sat motionless, face twisted with rage, observing domestic happiness that should have been his to destroy. But even in anger, the banker was calculating. Winter would pass, spring would come, and with it new opportunities to settle. Old scores. Jacob Morrison might have won this battle, but the war was far from over. For tonight, however, love had triumphed over greed, hope over despair, and two wounded souls had found healing in each other's arms. As snow continued falling, Mary Elizabeth Harper and Jacob Morrison began planning a future honoring their past while embracing all possibilities God had placed before them. The terrified virgin once sold to the saloon was now a woman of strength and purpose, beloved and cherished, ready to build a new life based on faith, love, and unshakable conviction that sometimes the darkest nights lead to the most glorious dawns. The end.